We're going to have one of the most pivotal conversations that Californians can have. But first, you need to see this. Good morning. This is our weekly meeting every week for the last 6 years. A group of Californians have come together to have what we call the most pivotal conversation that we can have. What about the concept of California being a nation? Is it appropriate? Is it not appropriate? And when we see the disintegration of all of the norms and all of the standards that we've seen and known and loved and beheld for decades in America falling apart in real time, is it inappropriate to have a conversation about what happens when you're sailing on a ship and it begins to sink? And someone says, let's have a life raft. And you say, shut up, idiot. No one talks about a life raft when the ship's sinking. Not true. People, in fact, build life rafts before they go sailing. And when a ship is sailing, everybody thinks it's a great time to talk about a life raft. And when your home's burning, everybody thinks it's a good time to talk about, did we get preventative maintenance done? So we view America in the same lens, and we want to have a conversation about what if. It's a rational thing that rational, logical people do. With us today is first John Drake. John Drake was one of the candidates for the recall election. He was the youngest candidate to run. It's part of many of our debates and events. And while John's not part of Yes California and said he wasn't necessarily for CALEXIT, he called me recently with an interesting take. And this gets to what I've told many of you. We did interviews with 10 candidates for governor, 1/4 of all of the candidates who were able to be voted for. And while almost all of them said they weren't necessarily for independence or secession, they said these weird things like, but California should be completely independent from the federal government when it comes to water, power, electricity, food, etc. And we should be able to use our money to do that. They'd also say weird things like, if there's a federal law that we don't like, that's going to take away our rights in California, we should have the ability to withhold tax money to force them to not do that on us. So John Drake had some similar concepts. John, I'm going to shut up here for a minute. What were you thinking this week, and how did you get this impetus, this idea to have these thoughts, and then what exactly were the thoughts you shared with me, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so what I was basically doing the other day, because I thought about this while I was driving the other day, was I was on my way down to Lancaster to help LaQuinta Reynolds with her nonprofit to try and end homelessness. And how I leave San Luis Obispo to go down to LA is I take the Los Padres National Forest pass basically through the mountains. It's a national park. And I was thinking, when it comes to solving homelessness, the federal government takes more away from us in order to takes more money away from us to distribute across the country altogether and gives back to us, even though we have a relatively higher problem when it comes to homelessness. When it comes to fighting wildfires, they do the same thing. They take they take our state's money and they take other states' money, puts into this giant pot, distributes it evenly. But again, they take more from us. They take more from us than they give back to us, even though, again, we have a relatively higher problem when it comes to wildfires. And so I was just thinking, like, the legalities about the sort of situations, like, how can we get that money back? How can we hold the federal government accountable when it comes to treating us fairly in terms of handling these situations relatively? Because obviously red states, they send their homeless populations to California, and so we get a bigger influx of populations, yet they still get a consistent amount of money that fights that fights harder for anyway, whatever. So what I was thinking was, sorry, I'm trying to think this through because I didn't really prepare for this.
It's all right.
Yeah, all right. No. So what I was thinking was basically, are we obligated to fight those forest fires? Like, can we basically kind of I mean, obviously, we should be fighting forest fires and the fires in California. But the thing is, are we going to hold the federal government accountable to treating us negatively? And what I mean by that is,
Adam
are we
Kokesh,
legally,
what's up?
are we legally obligated to protect their forests that they're not giving us the funds to fight? That they're not giving us the funds to protect. And from what I understand is, we technically don't have a legal responsibility to do that at all. And so what I say is basically call their bluff on them saying, yeah, you can deal with these. Just say we're not going to fight it. Let them burn for a year. Sure, that causes a bunch of air pollution, but every single year we allow forest fires to happen. It destroys our air quality initiatives as it is, and so essentially what happens is that if you just have one single burn, it takes everything out. You're good. You're good because it won't come back. And so for me, I'm just kind of like, if we can't legally say we're not going to pay these taxes to the federal government, we can sure make life hell for them. When it comes to ending homelessness, you can literally institute policies that say, if a business chooses to at all aid the federal government in any sort of way, whether that's through tools, supplies, or any sort of store that knowingly goes to help the federal government, you can increase their taxes by 50%. You're not telling them that they can't do business. You're just saying that there's going to be a penalty for doing business with them. And so I was thinking, if we're going to be sort of abused by this relationship, that the federal government thinks that they can take advantage of California, even though California does so much for the rest of the country, well, then why not just make life hell? Why not just be a douchebag to a government that's been treating us so terribly with no representation? Anyway, sorry for the long-winded response.
No, that's great. Hey, we got a good show today. So Adam Kokesh, the libertarian, well-known across America, and a Libertarian Party candidate is here. John Drake, a California gubernatorial candidate, is here. Rabbi Stephen Axelman from New York, who's been in the news bringing together California and Texas nationalists and New Hampshire and Texas groups. So big show, lots of voices here. What we're talking about is that when I interviewed John Drake a few weeks ago, I asked him, do you support CALEXIT? And he goes, no. And that's fine, because we just wanted to have the conversation. But what I wanted to point out was that many of the people that we talked to, 9, 10 of the candidates would say, I don't want to leave America. I want to be part of America. But I'm fine with California not needing America for anything. And I go, well, that's damn near autonomy. And they go, yeah, that's cool. As long as I'm still an American, we can basically operate like we're a separate country infrastructure-wise. It's like, oh, well, that's close to being a nation. And nobody saw a problem with that. And then the other one was, I was blown away to see them say, well, let's ignore or challenge federal laws that work against us. And why can't we withhold our federal tax money to force the federal government to do something? Even if that clogs up the system and isn't democracy, it's our money. Why can't we do that? Well, that's a form of nullification, as we saw in 1861. So nobody sees these things as secession. But these are Californians, and they're way down for it, which is why I said John Drake, not a secession supporter, but a California nationalist. And some of the ideas he had were roughly, John, tell him I'm getting this wrong, because we talked on the phone, and this is what I typed it up, was California had an example of the BDSM. Now, you don't have to like the BDSM at all. We're not taking a stance. We're not debating that here today. I'm just pointing out it's a model of the University of California said, we want to stop investments in Israel. Again, we're not talking about that today. We're simply talking about a policy example. So they passed a law saying no California government agency can do business with Israel, and any company that receives funds from the California government will lose all their contracts. And so what that did was they couldn't tell people you can't do business with Israel. What they did was they said, we're cutting out the California government. And if you work in California and you ever want to do business with any university, school, any California source of funding ever, you can never do business with them or you'll lose out on everything. And that really cut a lot of investment in Israel. Again, we're not discussing that topic. We're not advocating or disagreeing. We're simply pointing out it is a legal mechanism. So John was saying, what about we do that but direct it to the federal government? So California says we're not going to do contracts with the federal government at the government level, and any California business that does will lose California contract money. That is legal. That is something we could do. The second idea that he had was that the 50% of the force are owned by the federal government. Since Bush, 20 years ago, they have never managed those forests well. They always go up in forest fires every single year, and we never get enough forest fires to support them. So under Bush, we did not get enough forest fires. Forest went up and thing. Under Obama, we did not get enough forest fires. Forest went up. Under Trump, we did not get enough money. Forest fires went up. Under Biden, we talked about this here. Yes, California. They're not paying people enough money because California is expensive. So they don't want to pay them the amount that it takes to hire quality people here. They want to pay them the price that at the national level you can hire forest fires, which means nothing to us. So I don't care if a forest fire, $1,500 is a good pay for a forest fire in Mississippi or Alabama. That means nothing. What does it take to get quality people here in California to fight forest fires? Well, the Forest Fire Department here, CAL FIRE, criticized Trump for cutting resources. Well, guess who did the same thing? His name's Joe, and he's president too. And he also did not come with enough money to make sure our forests aren't going to burn down this year. So it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or Republican. Our forests burn down. We never get the resources. We're a donor state. We pay into this, and everything goes up. And our air quality goals are destroyed every single year because of the amount of forest fires that go up. And we can't do anything about it. That's federal land. So if the federal government won't let us have the land and they won't do their job, why don't we show them what happens when we pull out and don't participate? The other thing is, once it's burned down, can't get burned down again. And I know that sounds horrible and scorched earth-like, but folks, 20 years of never having enough support. What we're doing ain't working. Complaining to the DC, voting someone in, not doing nothing. Einstein said, definition of insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. Well, folks, that's what we've been doing for 2 decades. So I understand John's idea is a little bit extreme, but doing the same thing, stupid. No results. Let's open it. John, am I getting that wrong? And then let's open it up to discussion. You can post in comments. We'll post it. This is open discussion from everybody. I'm going to go to a libertarian. Bye. I don't know what that means.
Someone hates libertarians.
Yeah, yes. By the way, half of California is libertarian. So you may not hear that, but I constantly meet Democrats and Green Party people and progressives, and they talk about libertarian ideas like we don't need people telling us who we can marry, who we can fall in love with, what languages we can speak to our loved ones. That's a libertarian concept. And I got to get into this. Donna Fritz, rather wait for secession, which won't happen in my lifetime. My wife and I are looking to retiring in Costa Rica. That's called escaping, and you're bailing on California, and you're letting it go down. So I'm not cool with telling 40 million people here live in a Trump future. And if you're bailing, that's what you're saying. So no, this is my home. Why do I have to leave? I was born here. I was raised here. I've given to this thing. I've worked for the government. Why are we leaving? Why don't we get to say, this is my home and I get to fight for it and it should be the way that I want? How come that's not acceptable to you, Donna Fritz? Mark R. Wyatt says, I like he's into BDSM. Look, we're not taking a stance. We're just saying it happened. It's legal. Let's go to some more comments. Mike says, amen. Awesome. Any other comments? What do people think about John Drake's idea? First, we follow the BDSM model. Again, not taking a stance on the concept of Israel, but we use this to cut off funds to the federal government and encourage companies to start, so we divest from the federal government. Part 2 is we let the federal government be completely in charge of 50% of the landmass so that we can show people how horrible they are at doing it and they can take all the blame. And we do it 1 year to really shock them into the fact that for 20 years, we've gotten nothing. John, is that roughly what's going on here? Am I getting this wrong? What do you say?
No, you're basically wording it better than I did. I was like all prepared to do something, because when I explained my ideas to you, I was a lot more prepared because it was just like right in the moment. I was like, oh my God, I know exactly what I'm saying. Right now, I'm just trying to like word everything, and obviously it's not working out too well. But at the same time, you are very much putting exactly what I'm saying into words perfectly. I think that again, I don't agree with secession, but I think that doesn't mean we can't hold the federal government accountable to treating us unfairly. If they're going to take more money away from us than they're giving us to fight these issues that are really caused by them, then it's up to Californians to stand back and say, well, hey, if you're not going to give us the funds we need, we're not going to fight for the things that you want us to fight for. We're not obligated to fight forest fires. We do it because we want to help them. We're not obligated to help rebuild and maintain federal buildings, federal bases, provide them equipment. But we do it. We give them information technologies. We give them technologies every single year, and we upgrade that. If for 1 year, California stood back and just said no, and any company that does this, we're going to absolutely run into the ground or make them pay for it. Well, then I think California sort of gets to, I guess, dictate its own future rather than have that future be dictated by someone else.
Adam Kokesh, since we got you and you're talking about freedom and liberty everywhere, and I know you're Californian in heart, but you're an American. Thank you for serving, although we don't support the adventures, which you do too. What do you think of this idea? Is this okay for states to do this?
I'm surprised that people of conscience aren't already, at least in their own lives, as best they legally, safely can, pursuing tax resistance and voting with their dollars conscientiously in every way possible. So I've been on that for a while. I love all of these ideas. The only thing that's missing is the organization, the impetus, the critical mass of people willing to engage in a specific act of divestment or conscious consumerism in some particular campaign. And CALEXIT, might be a potential catalyst. So I'm excited for that. But that's what I see missing in all of these exciting ideas. But as far as our own decisions and lifestyles, I say let's do our best to live by our values. And I would kind of correct you, Marcus, on your disdain for the commenter who was leaving the country, because it's kind of like, taking a plea deal. I took a plea deal once when I was in jail for civil disobedience, and before that I had done never take a plea activism, and that's important to encourage people as a way of standing up to the injustice of the legal system that we have. And similarly, if someone says, you know what, America is going off the rails, to use a current events apt metaphor right now, if it's too much for you, if you're not comfortable in the United States, if you feel like, and I know a lot of activists in particular who have left the United States because of they've experienced less harassment from the FBI than I have, and I would say that, like, as a vegan-ish, I'm a conscious consumer vegan. I don't demean people for hunting their own meat. I think it's a step up in conscientiousness from just buying factory farmed crap out of the grocery store full of hormones and antibiotics without thinking about it, blah, blah, blah. There's all my sidebars and tangents. But to bring it back, I think leaving the country, while I share your disappointment, I encourage people to be more conscientious in every way they can, and voting with their feet, voting with their dollars, and living by their values.
Hey, this is an open discussion. Always call me out. I've told many of you, I love it when you guys go, I don't know about what you said there recently, because it makes us better. This is how we get more professional. Adam, what do you think about the idea that a state says, we want to have our state stop doing business with the federal government, and a state says, the federal government owns this territory and they're not managing it right. So we're just going to let it, burn to the ground so that everybody sees how horrible they are at managing it, because we've tried everything else and it's not working. What do you think about those ideas? What about the concept of a state doing that? Like, we're going to withhold our tax money. We're going to let the world see how bad you manage something. We're not going to cover you anymore. And we're also going to stop doing business with you. Are these okay things for an American state to do in America? You're a veteran. You love America, but you also don't support the empire and you question the federal government. What do you think?
I'm also a tree-hugging hippie. Almost literally. I mean, I'm at home today in Gardenia, where I have a few hundred trees on 10 acres, and I love my trees. And when I hear you say things like, let it fail somehow under federal management or mismanagement, right? My heart bleeds for the destruction of natural resources that would actually entail, the scale of that, and I don't think it's necessary. So, I strategically, I reject that element of it. I don't think that's necessary. I think that is maybe if there was a last ditch, but I don't see why that would be the strategy, even in desperate circumstances. And the idea of a state withholding tax dollars, I think it would be really cool if it's a bit of a stretch strategically. But for example, for California, if there were a way to do it on a single issue that Californians could unite on and say, as long as the federal government is doing this, we will not send money for that. And maybe that would be a good rallying point that would encourage that check on the federal government's power. I would love to see that.
Okay.
John?
So the thing is that
good
you
points,
can't.
Adam. John? You're on mute.
Fuck. Okay.
No, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
This is a PG. This is a PG show. Okay. All right.
I know. Someone called me in the middle of the stream. Sorry.
All right. Okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to the federal government, you legally cannot withhold funds from them at all. It is illegal, and to say that you should would actually get you arrested. So because it's a federal crime, and that's basically pushing for a federal crime. So
watch me. I'll say it right now, and I promise you that won't be what I get arrested for next.
Okay. Well, so the thing I'm suggesting, more or less, I'm so upset that that phone rang because I lost my trail of thought from it. So what I'm basically suggesting is that it's not us standing against what they are doing. It's us standing against what they're not doing. So, take the forest fire, for example, because that's what we were talking about, right? I'm all for having firefighters basically surround the entire national forest and cities around it and protect those cities. If it comes to the national park, though, itself, and we're not getting the funds to fight it, we can protect our land and our communities, but we have no obligation to fight that fire that exists within the national forest. And so take this for example. Newsom just signed a bill that would put $10 billion of our taxpayer dollars in California into fighting more fires that exist in these national parks. The federal government gave us $2 billion to fight it last year. So it's like we're not given the resources we need. And so when we're not given these resources and we keep and the federal government keeps expecting us to be able to solve homelessness, but they keep taking funds away from that as well. And then they keep expecting us to fight their fires, and they take funds away from us to do that as well. It's like at this point, I'm more or less okay with just saying, I'm going to call you on your bluff. I'm going to actually hold you accountable. If you're not going to allow us to at least keep this money, or if you're not going to allow, or if you're not going to give us the resources we need to actually fight these things after collecting all the taxes from every other state, then see what happens. Because we have no obligation to do any of this with you. We have no obligation to allow businesses to do business with you, or at least make it easy for them. Like if they want to do business with you, fine. But that doesn't mean we can't have a bill that says if this business, if Home Depot, if any of these businesses do business with the federal government in any sort of capacity, their taxes will be increased 50% on top of what they already owe. Like, there's nothing to say that we can't do that. And when it comes to government contracts, I'm all for the whole BDSM. Yeah, the whole BDSM sort of idea of we're not going to give you contracts, we're not going to do this and that, because you haven't shown that you actually care about how much we contribute to California. I mean, how much we contribute to the United States. Without California, the United States doesn't even rank in the top 10. The U.S. dollar fails and crashes. 95% of the red counties in this country go to absolute shit. Go to absolute garbage because we subsidize those counties, and so they have no right, and at least in my opinion, to hold us hostage because they want to be able to do this and that without taking into account how much we're actually putting out and how much they're taking from us and not giving back to us. When it comes to fires and homelessness, it's not an objective plane of where funds should be distributed evenly. It's a very relative plane. It's where is the homelessness happening? California. Where are all these states saying they're homelessness? California. Where are all these fires occurring? California. Where do we have the most risk of losing losing our most profitable businesses in the country? Where are we in risk of losing the most innovation? If California tanks, California. That's literally my whole thing, is that we have to be respected in this country in order for this relationship to work. I want it to work. At the same time, that doesn't mean like bowing your head and letting them keep stomping on your neck.
Let's get some more thoughts in. I really like the debate. There's no right or wrong answer. This is what we're here to do, is have these discussions. So this is success. It's like, oh, is this idea good? Is this, I don't know. But it's where we have these discussions about, because nobody's doing this. Nobody's going, here's an issue. It's intractable. It's gone on for decades. There has been zero results. We've had 4 different governors, 4 different presidents, same thing year after year, administration after administration. What are we going to do? Right? No one's having that conversation. If you look at the governor's talking points, it's, we'll just work hard again with Biden and ask for even more. Yeah, but you did that before. And the governor before you did that. And the governor before him. And the governor before him. And we're still no better off than where we were 25 years ago, with our climate change goals being destroyed every single year. And I understand it's a horrible, horrible thing to let all these trees burn and animals and stuff. But if what we're doing isn't working and there's no other plans, and it's just going to result in large, because the fires get bigger each year, folks. So every year that forest fire gets bigger. They're burning down even more, which means we need even more resources, and the resources from America are getting cut. So fire's going up, resources coming down. Fire's going to keep going up. There is no plan on how to deal with that. So one day the whole thing's going to burn down. Maybe calling their bluff now would be a way of letting them know it's not okay to ignore this issue. I mean, the forest fires last year were so bad, they saw them in New York City. Think about that. They were so bad and so big, they saw them on the other side, despite the curvature of the planet. You understand the Earth curves? So you're here, and here's a city here, and they can see it here. That means that smoke's damn near in the upper atmosphere. And we've never had fires like that. I study climate change as my job. We don't have fires this big. They've never existed during Native American times. So whether you think climate change is real, those fires are getting way bigger on scales never before seen in human history. And there's nothing to stop it and nothing to calm it down. And the federal government has shown that they have no appreciation for this. So what do? Have stuff burn down again next year and go, oh man, can't you guys help us? Like, what? I understand this may be a radical solution, but we're there now. And if not this radical solution, then what? And doing more of the same has just been failure. Where do we go? What do we do? Thoughts, feelings, everybody. Okay. John, we'll go back to you for last minute comment, and then we'll go on to the next topic. You're welcome to stay, of course.
I just want to say it was great talking with you all and at least putting this idea out there. Obviously, I support more diplomatic means, but at the same time, we have to really call into question: are we at all being taken seriously with our needs? Are we at all having the resources be put towards our biggest issues? And if the answer is no, how can we fix that? If you have a more diplomatic solution, I'm so down for it. Like, let me know. I love hearing ideas. I go out of my way to actively work on trying to end homelessness, try and fix these issues with forest fires, and just how to create better infrastructure. But at the same time, we also can't be so naive to just keep thinking if we ask kindly enough, they're just going to keep doing it. We've been asking for decades and nothing's happened. And so what I would say is that my email is on my website, johnrdrake.com. Don't forget the R in the middle of John and Drake. People forget that a lot. And just email me, give me solutions, send me your plans. I'm so down to hear about it. But really, 100%, let's see where we stand in this relationship. Is this a 50-50 partnership, or is someone taking advantage of us? And if they're taking advantage of us, how do we solve that? Thanks.
And John, you're not part of Yes California. You never joined Yes California. You did not know me before the recall debates, right?
No, not at all.
So one of the things we talked about was in 2017, we had 1/3 of Californians saying let's secede and 47.5 saying they were open to discussing independence. And I find it interesting that I just met you recently. We have not talked before, and you're kind of talking like the way the news said Californians were open to discussing secession 3 or 4 years ago. We'd always postulated that in 2017, when they said 1/3 were for it and half were willing to discuss, that never went away, and that interest was still there. I think you gave us proof of concept. You're not connected to the movement. We haven't seen you before 2 months ago, and you're talking like a California nationalist. Now, while you're dead set against secession, a lot of the ideas you're talking about and the things you're rightfully upset about is what we are.
Yeah, I would say that I think that the way we are treated as a state is 100% abhorrent. We're not given the representation we deserve. We allow states with small populations to dictate federal policy, and that federal policy always absolutely undermines the people of California and what we want. California is the center of not just American politics, but just innovation in general. And when we're not given a platform to be able to actually make that change without a bunch of pushback and be treated fairly, we do have to call into question, is this working? I think that we are stronger as a country together because we have the military.
Move closer to the mic.
Okay, sorry.
There you go. You're back.
Someone else called me again. I'm a busy.
You're right.
person.
You're good. You're good. We can hear you.
Yeah. So again, I think we're stronger as a nation. I think we're stronger with all the diversity of different ideas and things. But at the same time, I would say that California has a duty to defend itself and uphold its values above all, above the interests of a state like Kentucky. I don't care what happens in Kentucky. Who cares? No one goes to Kentucky for opportunity. They go to California for opportunity. And so I think we have to start taking California's role seriously and just recognize that California does deserve a say on where funds go, because we are dealing with the biggest impact of the problems. I think that when it comes to things like COVID, we're better suited to work together with the federal government for that. I think talking about secession, just because I'm all for California being held in the highest spot, but again, secession takes our focus away from like all these other issues that we also need to address. We can talk about California nationalism, but we don't have to equate secession with it. We can still be like, our country is better than yours. We can be like the European Union. Our country is better than yours. Screw your country, but hey, at the end of the day, we're European. Or in this case, at the end of the day, we're American.
I mean, folks, we were just talking about making inroads and getting people to carry the discussion. This is us doing what we were supposed to do. So here's John Drake. He hung out with Yes California. Now he's using some of our points and carrying the discussion. We just wanted Californians to have this discussion and spread it. So this is proof that our remake of Yes, California is wildly successful. We are having people discuss the idea, and maybe they don't like everything we said, but they're also talking about other things. And I think what we're hearing in a lot of it, there's a way to package this in a manner that's safe. So you say secession and people go, whoa. You say, I meant ignore federal laws we don't approve of. Oh, well, let's talk. It's called nullification. Legally, it's the same thing as secession. But as long as you didn't use those words, people are willing to have a reasonable chat with you. So all we did was how to frame it a little bit. Am I getting this wrong, John?
No, but again, I don't believe in nullification. I just believe in being a pain in the ass.
Pain in the ass. Got it. Okay. Any last minute comments for John? We're going to go to some more interesting news. John, you're encouraged to stay. I think you may like what we're showing here.
Got homework.
Can you stay for like 5 minutes?
Fine.
Okay. All right, we're going to go to our next section. By the way, I know this is a controversial idea, but I like John's idea, and I think we should. John, if we drafted something up that looked really smart, would you be willing to shop it around in your social media circles to see what sort of people might be interested in supporting something like that?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay.
I can definitely like float around, see what people think. Obviously, I'm a huge environmentalist, so that's going to be like difficult to like advocate for letting national forests burn. But at the same time, I think we could be like, well, what are your solutions to try and get more funding without just asking for it? Because it's not working that way. But yeah, I'm so down.
All right. You heard it here. Let me get this up. Okay, we're going to prototype this idea, get it over to John, and he'll promote it. We'll see where it goes from there. And this is keeping the conversation going. It doesn't have to be however we think it should, but it's about getting the conversation going. So I consider this wild success. And this is one of the candidates we met from the recall debate. So again, great idea that we moved into that. Anybody can help me on that. We will be working on that. So let me make a note. John Drake. Got it. Prototype. All right. Now we're going to move on to some other interesting things. Now, one of the things that we like to do here at Yes California is make predictions. We're very good at making predictions when nobody's saying those kinds of things. And we say things and everybody laughs and they say that's really stupid and you guys are so silly for saying that. And then time passes and everybody says what we said. And the clock turns. So you say something crazy. Oh, that's crazy, that's crazy, that's crazy, that's silly, that's stupid, that's so dumb. And then if time passes and it turns out you were right, suddenly you go from crazy to super genius. So this we've mastered this very well because we would make comments and you just wait. You put your comment out there when nobody else is saying it. You have to do it when it's risky and nobody else is saying it. And then when it comes to be true, you can go, we were the only ones saying it. Well, here are 3 things that we predicted 6 months to 5 years ago, and they're all coming true. Let's take a look at this. So one of the things that Yes California said was that, and I know we have some Trump supporters, but largely America is Trump country. We said that the majority of America is made up of states. The population doesn't matter. The Constitution enshrines rights for states, not individuals. Because of that, a majority of the conservative states will be running America, and that's why Trump got in, and that's why the Supreme Court's conservative, and that's why they're pushing back on things like abortion. Well, turns out that CNN, a liberal talking point, is predicting that the GOP will take the House in 2022, as we predicted. Here's another thing. Joe Biden is now doing so horribly that it is now predicted that Donald Trump would beat him in 2024, meaning Trump could easily come back. We had pointed out that Trump won the election in 2016. If you pulled California out in 2016, he lost the popular vote only because California went to Hillary. So outside of California, over 50% of America voted for Trump. The only reason Hillary did better than Trump on the national vote was because the California votes. So at CALEXIT, what we said was look outside of CALEXIT, looks outside of here, and who voted for who? Well, over half of the country voted for Trump outside of California in 2016. When you look at the same thing in 2020, even though he lost, it was by our numbers, exact same thing. About half the country outside of California voted for Donald Trump 2 times in a row. And we said in 2016, this is America. And people are like, well, a majority of people don't like that. And we said, it doesn't matter what you think. There's a thing called the Constitution, and it enshrines rights for states, not people. Electoral college is not by people, it's by states. Senate used to be directly by states, but it's also still apportioned 2 per state. And the Supreme Court is approved by the Senate, which comes from the states. So the states control the Supreme Court and the presidency and the rest of the judicial system and all of the appointments. And they can block any legislation from the House, and the Supreme Court can block anything approved, and they can control who gets to be president. So we were pointing this out, like this is what a majority of America is. And it turns out, guess what? Republicans are coming back. Trump's still not gone. America still likes Trump. He's predicted to come right back. GOP is going to take the House. So we told you 5 years ago, and I know we have Trump supporters on Yes Cal, and that's fine. We love you. But you know how Californians generally feel about that guy. And we told Californians 5 years ago, you're never going to get rid of them short of secession. This is who America is. This is who you're tied to. Well, folks, we were right in 2016, 2020, and now we're right again. Y'all thought we were crazy when we said it. That's 3 times in a row. Let's go to another prediction here. First, some comments. Global Predictor says CALEXIT. Hey, thanks for the backup. Yes, you do. California wins when seceded from the United States. Thank you, Global Predictor. Let's go to another prediction we made. And here it is. We had also said that national divorce is going to happen. So in 2018, 3 years ago, we invented the idea of national divorce. We launched it on February 14th, 2018. We had a Valentine's Day divorce, and we were the first person to really popularize this phrase. Now national divorce is all over. So if you go to Twitter, you can type in Sarah Silverman. She talked about national divorce, and then a bunch of conservatives backed her up. So national divorce is all over the place. Everybody's talking about it because she talked about it, and then they came for it. And now there's a lot of people backing it up. Well, that phrase is ours. We did that first 3 years ago. Hits don't stop there. Here's another thing we said 6 months ago. Because America is Trump land and the states own it, Biden's going to be like Trump. Because while we were told, oh, those are Trump and he's aberration, no, those are American policies. We said this right away with Biden. Climate change, oil, kids in cages, dealing with foreign countries, talking to minorities. Everybody's like, you're crazy. That's insane. Well, guess what? 6 months later, here it is. Beto O'Rourke now says the exact same thing we said 6 months ago. He's not alone. Maxine Waters is now saying the exact same thing. These Democrats are saying Biden is exactly the same as Trump. The policies are too similar, and they're pointing out to the border. And we did that half a year ago before any of them. So we predicted national divorce. We predicted America's Trump country, and we predicted that Biden was the Trump, the same. And now everybody's saying those things after we did. This is success. Any comments? Okay, then we're going to go to last bit of news. Yes. Also, California is also continuing to secede in real time. Let me show you that. Oops. This just came in. Okay. So California is actively in the process of seceding from America. We had pointed this out before. I'll show you the screen. So we were one of the few people that really reported on this a lot. So basically, California in 2016 started banning travel to other states in America if they did things that we thought were violating California values. So even if it was legal federally, if we said it violates our values, we cut off all contact with that state. Now, this law, which went into 2016, is being applied to Ohio, and we are up to 18 states that California has cut off from contact because they're doing something that we don't agree with their values. So we are actively seceding. Trump is the same as Biden, as we said. America's still not coming together. They're ripping themselves apart, and Trump will likely return to power. 4 different predictions that we made, all becoming visceral. Comments, things, feelings? Okay. We're going to go to the last bit then. Let me do this. Okay. 1 second. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, I want to make sure I got that right. Share screen, window, there. Okay, so hopefully this is showing an email. Yes, it is. Okay. So what that email says, here's some of the actions we're working for right now. We're reaching out to newly formed secession groups, Frexit and Georgia, to make contact. We're reaching out to businesses that left California to get them to join Yes California in sponsoring an initiative on a statewide audit. We think that we can reach out to conservatives and the 300 businesses that left and have them work with us on filing an initiative for a statewide audit. While it's not directly CalExit related, it will show that we are fiscally conservative and we want Californians to come back. We're also working on watching the interviews with candidates, what we call focus groups, to figure out how to make this movement safe. That is our #1 goal, how to reframe what we say so that it's safe. Other products we're working on right now is an updated California's book. That's our book on the future of California. We released it in 2015, made us very famous. This will be the first update in 6 years. We'll also be updating our website, and we'll also be releasing certified courses in secession. There are no online courses in secession. We will be the first organization to ever offer education in secession where you can say that you got trained. It will be the only place on the world that offers that. So we're really looking to offer courses, offer the website, and offer the book, and have everything new and fresh and coming very soon. We're also going to be launching a new channel for the California Secession Advocate. It's called the California Secessionist. That's for Louis Marinelli, who will be running for government. We're also going to be launching a new channel on Rumble for casual political talk, aimed at more mainstream people and bringing them into the conversation. We're going to call it California for technically right now, and it's going to be on Rumble. Rumble is a place that Glenn Greenwald and other liberals who are banned by mainstream media went, and we think it's a good place for us to go. We want to start reaching out to more people and having more of a casual talk. So we're still going to have the formal meetings on Sunday. That will never change. But what we've realized is that we have more dynamic conversations with more input and feed from people if we have kind of a more casual discussion. So we're going to be doing that. There will be cursing. There will be dressing casually. There will be smoking marijuana and drinking. But what we're hoping is that we're going to have a really robust, in-depth conversation about politics and secession, and we'll be able to show off how smart we are by making it not intimidating for people to join the conversation. Other items, we're going to be working with John Drake to draft his proposal, and so he can share it around. We are working with Liberty Block to get Mike Silva, that's the politician in New Hampshire who passed a law asking for a vote on secession. That was written in part by our partners over there, and we're trying to interview Mike Silva so that we can be the first organization for a secession group to interview an actual legislator who's talking about secession. We're also trying to contact Cody Bellinger of New Hampshire, who said he would propose an actual resolution in their government for California to secede. So lots of projects working out with trying to contact other secession groups, trying to reach out to businesses that left California on an initiative, working with John Drake on another initiative, trying to reach out to Mike Silva in New Hampshire and other politicians, working on updating our book, updating our website, providing certified courses, launching a new professional channel on high-level policy, and launching a new channel for casual discussion. That's basically what we're working on right now. Comments, thoughts? 18 states. Yes, Devil War, 18 states. If you consider California as one of those states, you know, and you pull California out, you're looking at 49 states, 18 out of 49. I mean, they're approaching maybe like 45% are banned from California. Okay, comments, thoughts, feelings? Don't have to. If we have a tight little show, that's fine. But I always like making sure everybody has the opportunity to speak. And does anybody have any opposition to anything we're doing? Liberty Block, our partner agency, is already on Rumble and already has a video on Rumble talking about secession. So I think we can get some good company if we go over there. Adam, are you on Rumble?
No, since I got banned on YouTube, I've been focusing on Odyssey, and I encourage everybody to check it out. It's similar to the word ODYSEE, Odyssey, and it's a blockchain-based video hosting site built on the library blockchain, and it's been great so far. And I totally support everybody getting onto platforms that are censorship free.
Why did you pick, no wrong or right answer? Tell me. I'm ignorant on this, brother. I'm ignorant. Talk to me like I'm 3. Why not Rumble? Why Odyssey? What are we missing? And everything's the right answer. I don't know. We're literally exploring this. What do you know? What have you seen? Please, sir.
I'm sorry, were you asking me specifically?
Yeah,
you broke
Adam.
up there.
Yeah, Adam, why Odyssey and not Rumble?
Just accessibility and being blockchain based, I think, were the reasons. I honestly, I'm very excited. Well, I freaking hate this crap of like worrying about like what social media and online publishing has become since sort of the golden age of independent media online to where we are now with rampant censorship. And I'm grateful for Odyssey. I'm grateful for Telegram. That's the other one I love. I know we, CALEXIT Congress, use WhatsApp, which is owned by Facebook. Subtle request here I've been meaning to make for a while for the back of your to-do list or the bottom is to consider moving the group over to Telegram, which is more secure and not owned by Facebook. So, but I have been in kind of a weird place, spinning my wheels with media for views in the last like year and a half with the censorship and shadow banning. And I just want to get back to making content for my audience. And I think that's what's most important. As long as you can post it online and people can find it, make good content, make compelling content. And I think we all got to keep fighting the censors and trying to work around them. And it's frustrating and it sucks, but that's just part of the fight. You learn to accept.
Well, the rabbi agrees with you. Rabbi Axelman out of New York City agrees. He says, I'm on Telegram with a lot of groups and it works well. So we're going to definitely look into Telegram. Adam Kokesh said, look into Telegram. Rabbi Axelman said, look into Telegram. Those are our partners outside of California. So we're going to check it out. We're going to check out Telegram. We're going to check out Odyssey. And you're right. Everything gets shut down. I mean, we're not able to do an episode on YouTube without being worried about being shut down that next day, right? There's no safe place. It's nerve-wracking. And it would be nice to go to someplace where we're not worried about that, because I've been shut down on every platform. So I know it's a real thing. And I know we've gotten real close. And I know you even discuss things that are relevant and they don't like you, you're done. So I don't like jumping around telling everybody, don't mention COVID. I feel stupid doing it, but I do that so we don't lose our show. So you're right. It's real and it's not good. And we need to look at a more stable existence where we don't have to worry about this. So folks, let's look into Telegram. Let's look into Odyssey. Let's look into other platforms and start moving. We're going to be moving while we're making the book and the courses and everything else coming up. We're going to start launching into these other channels at the same time to spread our distribution. Okay. Any other comments? Comments? Anybody? Okay, well, then we're going to have a nice, tight little meeting. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Adam Kokesh. Thank you, Jason, Mike, Robert. Tuesday, we will have our casual meeting. Hopefully that will be on Rumble. If not, it'll be on Rumble and Odyssey very soon. But we're going to start moving Tuesdays to casual and in-depth. So come out Tuesday at 7. Be casual, but don't turn off your thinking cap. So it's casual, but it's still high-level talk. It's like we'll go into depth and in the weeds there. Everybody's welcome. Tuesday at 7, and this is our other show that'll always be professional going there. We'll leave it there. Thank you all, and I'll see you soon.